This is Impact star Caleb Konley, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
So what you gonna do?
Let me talk to you, dummies.
Oh, yeah.
You're where it's at.
If you're smart like me, you gotta listen.
And if you don't listen to it,
I'll come out of your computer and body slam your ass.
Don't be a Melvin.
I will scar you.
open your third eye.
Woo! It's gonna be cool.
Oh, what a rush.
It's showtime!
We had a lovely conversation.
To the interactive interview. Interactive wrestling radio.
The Epicenter.
Welcome to another edition of Interactive Wrestling Radio, right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. My name is James Walsh, and this week we bring you three different interviews, three different segments, I should say, right here on the Epicenter. First of all, we brought you Bobby Fulton just last night. Bobby Fulton, fantastic Bobby Fulton, calling it a career after over 40 years in the wrestling industry, finally hanging up the boots. Fantastic Bobby Fulton, of course, of the Fantastics. We spoke to him just 4 days before he calls it a career this weekend in Circleville, Ohio. Impact Wrestling's Monster Abyss will also be on that card, just to tie that into our next guest. That will be Impact Wrestling's Cult of Lee member, Caleb Konley. Caleb Konley joins us for the first time ever. Been a fan of this guy since I first saw him on Paragon Pro Wrestling. Really enjoyed having him on the show for a quick interview. We were a part of a teleconference that's still available in the archives. That was with Caleb Konley and Trevor Lee. So if you want to check that out, check out WrestlingEpicenter.com. In the archives, it's on there for you. And finally, tomorrow we will be bringing you the teleconference with Madison Rayne, one of the highest decorated Impact Wrestling knockouts of all time. Never have had her on the show before. Huge fan of what she can do in the ring. Think she's really, really underrated, especially considering her lineage and history in Impact Wrestling. So glad that Impact's doing a teleconference with Madison Rayne. We're going to do our darndest to be part of it. If we can't, we'll bring you what we can of it, even if we're not a part of it here at WrestlingEpicenter.com. So that's the three deals we got going this week here at WrestlingEpicenter.com. Sending our prayers out to the family of Matt Capitelli, who unfortunately is in worsening health. He's been battling brain cancer, so our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, as well as celebrate 7 years since we lost the Macho Man Randy Savage. And if that's not bad enough, today is also the birthday of Flying Brian Pillman, who was a big topic on our last week's episode with the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan. So a lot of positives, a lot of memorials going on here, just a lot going on. Without any further ado, let's get to that interview with Caleb Konley. Thank you again to Impact Wrestling and Ross Foreman for helping set this one up.
This is Josh Matthews, and you are in the Wrestling Epicenter.
This week on Championship Wrestling from Arizona. Tune in to see our historic United Wrestling Network event from China. United Tag Titles and NWA title on the line. Check your local listings for time and channel.
What's up, everybody? It's the Wolverine, the effing machine, Mr. GMSI, Brian Cage. Here you're checking out Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio right here on WrestlingEpicenter.com. On the Newsmaker line with us right now is a Impact Wrestling superstar, the one and only Caleb Konley. Mr. Konley, are you with me?
I'm here. Thanks for having me, man.
You're very welcome. For the past couple weeks on Impact, you've been having your troubles in the cat and mouse game backstage with LAX. Thoughts on your current feud with Latin American Exchange?
Feud is a good way to put it. Those guys are great wrestlers. I like being in the ring with them. They bring out the best of me and Trevor, but at the same time, we clash. We are oil and water. We don't mix very well. They like to talk trash. We like to talk trash. We like to fight. They like to fight. Hopefully, it makes for great TV. It's just a stepping stone for me and Trevor for our next big thing, and that's going to be to win the tag titles.
Absolutely. And we'll get to your quest for the tag team titles here very soon. I wanted to ask you about Trevor. You guys you never would have thought you guys are as a tag team, really, but ever since you guys came together, you changed your look a little bit. It didn't take as much changing as maybe people think, but how much changing went involved for you to kind of adapt a Lee-ish look for the Cult of Lee?
Yeah, it didn't take much. You just stop shaving, basically.
All right. So what is your relationship with Trevor Lee before the Cult of Lee?
Well, Trevor is from about 2 hours from where I live in Charlotte. I've known him since he was, I would say, 16 years old. We're both from the same area. We're both second generation guys. We're both tired of the bull crap that comes along on the indies and on Impact, and some guys go out there and they want to be fancy and do the flips and do all the cool spots, and we're just coming out here to bash heads, and we're going to talk crap to you while we do it.
Excellent. And I actually mentioned Ross Foreman, who set up this interview, that I've been watching you since Paragon Pro Wrestling, ironically also on Pop TV.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about that promotion. Was a big fan of it. It was different because it was more old school themed. It felt more like an old school wrestling show. What was your thoughts on Paragon Pro Wrestling?
I really enjoyed Paragon. It got off to a very slow start, but by the end of it, I felt like they were really finding a place for themselves. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out. I felt like, for me personally, as far as being a character and getting a chance to find a place for yourself on TV, I thought Paragon really helped me out a lot, and it got me ready for Impact. I didn't have maybe some of the weird transitions that other guys have from just doing indie shows to doing Impact, and I think Paragon was definitely helping me out with that. Plus the management there of Matt Stryker and D'Lo Brown and Sin Bodie was great. It was great to learn from those guys. Also, the grappler Lynn Denton was there. Yes. I really enjoyed Paragon, and I wish they would have stayed around a little bit longer, because I felt like right when it was taken off the air, the ball was really starting to roll with them.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. They did have a quick run on MSG Network, but I think by that point you had already gone over to Impact, if I'm not mistaken. So. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was.
So you mentioned it already, but I'll go back to it. You guys almost wrestled the tag team titles away from LAX when they were tag team champions. But now we have new world tag team champions and guys that you're very familiar with, and Andrew Everett and DJZ. Is that something that yourself and Trevor Lee are looking forward to doing?
Oh, yeah. Obviously, me and Trevor both know Everett very well. We also know DJZ very well. DJZ was actually in the match with me that I was signed to Impact Wrestling for. So I look forward to getting back in the ring with both of those guys, and I look forward to beating the crap out of them and taking their titles.
Excellent. Now, June 1st and June 2nd, Windsor, Ontario, you guys return back to TV tapings. The last set of TV tapings was the first time in a long time I unilaterally have seen positive reaction from both the fans and the talent that were there. What was different about the Impact Wrestling tapings last time around, and are you looking forward to the ones coming up here in Windsor?
I'm definitely looking forward to Windsor. Everyone go out and get your VIP packages, which are on sale right now at the impactshop.com. As far as the wrestlers and the fans' reaction, we've obviously been in a weird transition period for a good while. That's no secret. It takes a while, but I feel like the ball, just like I was saying with Paragon earlier, the ball is finally starting to roll downhill. I think maybe in the past, I don't want to speak for everybody, and I don't mean this super negatively towards anybody that was in past management, but I felt like in the years past, maybe a lot of the guys who are in the management area of it, I always think the wrestlers want to go out there and kill it, but I feel like in the management aspect of it, some of those guys were kind of slacking off. I wasn't really there for it, so I don't know too well, but I felt like maybe they were just trying to get a payday. And as of now, the guys in charge, Don Callis and Sanjay and Scott Demore and everyone else that's involved with the management at Impact Wrestling, they really, really want to see everything work. They're really putting their heart and their soul into the product, and I think that translates into the wrestlers, and I think that translates to the TV, and I think the fans notice that and appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you needed proof of that, you just needed to look at a show that you were involved with, the Lucha Underground Impact Wrestling crossover show that happened just at WrestleMania weekend at WrestleCon. You were in the opening match of that show. I always tell people those are my two brands. I love Impact Wrestling. I love Lucha Underground. So for me, it was like Christmas. Thoughts on that show, and how do you like that Impact is kind of breaking the mold and working with other companies more openly than anybody else has before?
I think it's great. I think we live in a time where so much wrestling is openly seen online, and there's all these people that fantasy book these cross promotion shows, and you can't really act like other promotions don't exist, like it has happened basically in the past 100 years of wrestling. You really have to be open and say that this is Impact, but also Lucha Underground exists. Also, everything else in the world exists, and it's nice to get a chance to go out there and wrestle guys that I probably would never get a chance to wrestle if this was a different time. Honestly, 2018 is a weird and very cool time in wrestling, and I think this is just the beginning. I think it's going to get better from here.
Very cool. And there's been some rumblings about potential other crossover shows. I know we've heard the letters New Japan Pro Wrestling at JPW thrown around due to Don Callis' ties to them. There's been some rumors, only rumors, about potentially working with Ring of Honor. Is there any other companies other than Lucha Underground and Pro Wrestling Noah and AAA that you guys already have a working relationship with that you'd like to see Impact bring on in?
We've done stuff with WrestlePro and Big Time Wrestling out west. In July, we've got I believe it's one of the Twitch pay-per-view things with my local company in North Carolina, AML Wrestling. I do enjoy the crossover shows. It's an independent, more intimate feel than the TV tapings, and it's like going to a small concert at a bar and being right there in front of the band instead of being like at an arena show where you're in nosebleeds and you have to have binoculars to actually see the band. I really enjoy the crossover shows.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to let you go with this question. It's a little bit of a pop-up question, a little bit of a softball, if you will. But not only do we have the tapings coming up here June 1st and 2nd, but also the big pay-per-view happening July 22nd. Slammiversary. It's going to be 16 years celebration of Impact Wrestling. As a guy who wasn't there at the beginning, but I'm willing to bet was a fan of what they were doing early on, what does it mean to you to be working for Impact for Slammiversary, celebrating 16 years?
Oh, it means a ton. Actually, when back in the days of the Wednesday night pay-per-views in Nashville, me and a couple of my buddies would leave school early on Wednesdays, drive to Nashville, which was about a 4.5-hour drive from where I was living in Georgia, and we would go to those pay-per-views for several months. And as a high schooler wanting to break in the business, that was always it's always one of my fondest memories of just going and being like right there in front of the very beginning of Impact. And they weren't necessarily a national company at the time or an international company, but we could tell that they were onto something brand new, and it was exciting. And here I am, 15 years later or whatever it is, and I'm a part of it, and it's awesome.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to let you go with one last favor to ask. Do you mind if I ask for a station ID, just saying this is Caleb Konley, and you're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio?
All right. This is Impact star Caleb Konley, and you're listening. Hey, what is the name of the show one more time? I just forgot it halfway through my sentence.
No problem. How about Wrestling Epicenter is the name of our site, so we'll go with Wrestling
Epicenter.
There you go.
I'm sorry, man.
No problem.
This is Impact star Caleb Konley, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter.
This is the Wrestling Epicenter. For over 15 years, we've brought you the top names in professional wrestling for exclusive interviews. Everybody you see here has been interviewed by our site. But we're more than just interviews. So be sure and check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for news, results, information, and of course our store. WrestlingEpicenter.com, your #1 source for wrestling information.